Good evening, Scouts. I'm Jim Lovell, an old Eagle Scout. Welcome to Air Camp 2010, and welcome to all the members of the Black Hawk Area Council. I hope you know why you're here, because this is the 100th anniversary of the Boy Scouts. I've been to the Rockford Airport many times, almost 30 years, every year, but I fly my airplane from Palwaukee or Waukegan, and I fly over there to shoot approaches to keep my hand in because I still fly airplanes at my age. I got my Eagle badge way back in 1943 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and at that time I needed 21 merit badges, but we didn't have a project to get to be Eagle Scouts in those days, but we did a lot of work and community service as a matter of our Scout training. I was a Navy pilot back in the 1950s, which is a long time ago. I made a flight off the carrier at night. And several things happened. Once I lost all my instrument panel lights, and I lost the location of the aircraft carrier. I had to look around. I could have gone to Japan or tried to land there, but I didn't know exactly where there would be an airfield. So I circled around trying to find out what to do, but I kept going. I didn't give up. I didn't just bail out of the airplane hoping that someone would pick me up in the ocean. But as I was thinking of what to do, I looked down and saw a green trail made by the fluorescence of the algae. And this was done by the churning of the screw of a large ship. And so I followed that trail, and sure enough, I found my carrier back again, which saved me, a lot of trouble of either swimming or finding some spot in Japan. And you might be interested to know what I did actually for a living. The reason why I was in Houston, I got into the space program. And believe it or not, many Scouts are also astronauts. And the stuff that we learn in scouting, being prepared, and learning to take care of yourself, all those factors came into being when we got into the program. The high point of my career, in reality, is my experience on Apollo 8. Apollo 8 was the first flight to the moon. We did not have a lunar module to land. Our job were as pathfinders, same as sometimes you do in scouting. We'd have to learn the navigation, the communication, to go to the moon. And more, we had to study the lunar surface to find the places, the safe places for the people who would make the first landing, the flat areas, the Mare. As we were preparing for the Apollo 8 flight, we were trying to think of something to say because we are going to orbit the moon on Christmas Eve. We realized at that time that quite a few of the world's population would be tuned into our conversation. What we finally ended up doing was reading from the Old Testament, the first 10 verses of Genesis. And so that's what we did as we orbited the moon on the 9th revolution. We read for the first 10 verses of Genesis, which was really the basis of many of the world's religions. But I have to tell you, when we reached the moon, and we went around to the far side, which we don't see from the Earth, and I thought that was quite an experience. The biggest impression I got was to look at the Earth, because we saw the Earth for the first time, some 240,000 miles away, just a small body, a body that if you put your thumb up to the window, you could hide the Earth behind your thumb, and you had to really think of how insignificant we really all are in the universe. A lot of things you can't practice for and something you don't know is going to happen. Always expect the unexpected was one of the things I learned early as a scout in camping and doing the merit badge studies, and then took with me into the space program. Apollo 13, of course, is a perfect example. Apollos 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 were very good. They had some problems, but not much. So 13 went out expecting to have another perfect flight. 2 days out, big explosion. What happened? And that's when the attributes, those characteristics that I learned as a scout, really came into being. Because it wasn't like a previous flight where you just follow a flight plan and everything works out for it, because we had to throw away the flight plan and we had to think out of the box. We had to think for ourselves, use our initiative, had good leadership between Mission Control in Houston and the flight crew, and had to have the teamwork going between Mission Control and the flight crew, because they had to come up with some of the answers and we had to exercise those decisions that they made correctly so that we could get back home safely. I think one of the things that you're going to learn in scouting is the fact that you have to accept a little bit of failures every once in a while. You might go after a merit badge. You work hard, but you didn't really learn all the things that are required to get that merit badge. And so you had to start again. I had many experiences like that as a scout, but I also had those same experiences later on in my later years. I applied for the astronaut program, and I was one of the first 32 to ever apply, and I didn't make it. Those other 7 guys, Glenn, Shepard, Grissom, they all made it. I was very, very much disappointed. But then, about a couple of years later, NASA needed some more astronauts. I applied for the second time, and that time I made it. So the lesson I learned from scouting is the fact that if you don't succeed the first time, don't give up. Well, Scouts, listen, I've got to start flying this airplane pretty soon, but I want to let you know that you have to keep on persevering. You've got to do your scout work. You've got to be, conscientious young men that can go later on into life and become successful adults. So I hope you all take a little bit of aspects. I hope some of you go into aviation. I tell you what, it's a great career, something I've always enjoyed, and something I try to continue as long as I can.
Captain Lovell, on behalf of the Scouts and the Scouters of Black Hawk Area Council, I want to present to you this certificate that will send a boy to camp next year in your name. So thank you so much for your kindness and taking time with us, and for being our honorary chairman for this 2010 Air Camp.
Well, it's really a pleasure for me to be the honorary chairman, and thank you very, very much. I'll always remember this, and I hope a lot of boys do go to camp and enjoy their scouting experience.